Welcome, everybody, to this beautiful Tuesday morning for Aging Gracefully. It's an adaptive and accessible yoga for all. We're going to start sitting up in our chair. And the last couple of classes, we've done a lot from the chair, and I've asked you to choose whether you want to stay in the chair or you are interested in doing it standing, and that will always be the case. So if you would please come into a nice comfortable position in your seat, feeling length in your spine from your sit bones to the top of your head. And today, let's take one hand to the top of the head, to the center of your forehead, your fontanelle. And as you exhale, pull the belly inward and feel the spine lengthening up. It's as if there's a marionette string that's drawing you up. And as that energy draws you up, this is the upana vayu, the energy that flows upward. We also begin to feel the apana, the downward flow of energy drawing us downward. So there is this drawing down and lifting up. So I know a lot of people have started to garden, and when you begin to see flowers root themselves, you see them drawing downward. That would be the apana vayu, the energy that flows downward. And that energy that flows downward allows the plant to rise upward. So I'd like you to think about that in your own practice this morning. From a Chinese way of looking at it, we have yin and yang. The yin is the downward flow and the yang is the upward flow. So if you think of, let's just say, a root vegetable like a carrot draws down to grow, but the tops grow up. And right now in our garden, we have lots of garlic that we had planted in the fall. We have lots of garlic tops just growing as that bulb is maturing in the ground to be picked hopefully in the beginning of July. So in your body, begin to notice how the energy draws your sit bones down, and maybe you can even feel the pelvis as it's rooting down, the torso lifting away, and the quadriceps, your front of your thighs, begin to anchor your feet. You want to close your eyes or soften them, and just to begin to feel the energy of your breath drawing out and in. So as the energy draws upwards and the breath draws in, the belly reaches out. As you draw your energy outward, the belly moves in. So the energy as you exhale at the base of your nostrils is drawing out, and the belly draws inward and upward. Again, this law of opposites, you find it all over the place, right? So look for it in your environment. Look for it in this beautiful spring, basically summer right now, that we have. And as you work here, you want to work to not only ground yourself, but sense how the energy that draws inward can also calm you. It can allow the mind to not only draw inward, but allow an outward expression of calm to draw over you from that crown or top of the head where we had our fingers for the marionette string, all the way down to your base of your spine, to your sit bones, and through your legs to the four corners of your feet. So before we actually start moving, I would like you to draw your energy down into those 4 points of your feet. Under the big toe, under the little toe, the inside and the outside of your heel. So as you exhale and you feel the spine lengthening upwards, you can begin to feel the 4 points of your feet grounding you downwards. Begin to notice the subtle energy of the instep of your foot lifting. So as if you can feel the hollow of the middle of your foot. Okay. Now, as you are reaching down, reach your arms overhead and stretch one side longer than the other. And begin to sway from your sit bones, moving from side to side. And then reach your arms back out to your sides and down. Put your hands on your thighs. I'm going to move forward on my seat. And we're going to just do a gentle cat and cow. So as you begin to exhale and you pull the belly in, the sit bones slide forward. And as you begin to inhale, the sit bones slide backwards. And we go forward and back. You'll notice that as your sit bones draw forward, so do your hands. And as your sit bones move back, you move your hands back, your elbows back, broadening and opening the collarbones. And we'll just do 2 more here. And then reach your arms up overhead, reach your sit bones down, and lift your fingertips to the ceiling. Reach your arms out to the sides, roll your shoulders up, back, and down. So I don't know if many of you today are feeling energetic, energized. Go back the other direction, or maybe you're feeling tired from the heat. Wherever you are, work within your own personal limits. Move forward on your seat, put your hands behind you. I'm going to put my hands on the back of my seat, press down and lift up. And if you wish, lift your sit bones. Stay there for a few breaths. I'm going to take a movement down to my computer to check something. And then begin to gently, from bringing your hands behind you, press your sit bones and just move your hands. Keep the torso where it is, but move your hands right onto your thighs. So now you feel nice and tall. You're going to move your left foot wherever it needs to be. Engage the navel center to the spine. Lift through the heart. So you're keeping that length, that marionette string. And begin to lift and lower your left leg. Okay. And then release, and we'll do the other side. So make sure you're connected. In the what most people call the core. I don't really like to use that word, but the center, energy center of your navel center, if you pull that inward and you feel that spine lift, you'll begin to notice that it helps you to lift and lower the leg like a lever, right? Or a pulley, right? And a couple more. Okay. All right, and then go back and forth into cat and cow to release anything that might get stuck there. Just one more. We're going to come back to that position. And this time, as we lift the leg, we're going to draw it out to the side and come back and lower it. And we're going to do that for a total of 6 times. If for you, you can only do a few, only do a few. The most important thing is to begin to engage here. So as you pull in and you feel that pulley lifting you up, you lift your leg. And if it works for you, take your leg out to the side. Make sure that your right knee is not splaying out, that it's staying right where it was. So you really have to work on that engagement. One more. And lower. Now you might feel a little tired here, so if you want to take a nice little stretch, you can stretch your body long and then come back to center. When you come back, you want to, again, re-engage, move your left leg wherever it needs to be, and lift, and we'll come out with the other side. Last one. Come down, stretch out. Now, some of you may be going, wow, that was a lot in my hip joint. And you might find that you can't really lift and move at the same time. Maybe you have a lot of back issues. So doing some things like this on the floor, maybe we'll do that a little bit later when we get to the floor. But I want to give you another alternative here. Instead of being able to lift and really engage and move your leg this way, you may just want to move your leg along the floor. So you're still engaging, but you're not lifting, okay? So we're going to try that. So again, engage, and this time you can choose to lift and do another round. We'll do 4 this time, or you can keep your leg here and just move it along the floor. And you can even help it by moving your fingers on the inside and then on the outside. You're just getting a little bit of an opening here. Okay. You can feel that work, okay? Let's see before we stretch. If you need to stretch, you probably have already done that, or you're doing it now. Let's try the other side. So when you're ready, find yourself in a nice tall position and just do the other side. Just moving wherever you need to move your foot. Or your leg. It's not really your foot, it's really your leg because you're moving from the hip joint. Okay, last one. Right, now straighten the legs and come way up to the ceiling, stretching your fingers, stretching your toes, and then come back to center. We're going to do one more leg work here. I'm moving back a little bit on my chair to engage the navel center, and we're going to lift and lower. So I'm going to bend and straighten. And again, if you need just to move your foot forward and back, do that. But if you can, lift, 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 and then bend. Lift, 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 and bend. Again, if you need to lift and bend, do that. Do one more round. Challenging yourself a little bit today. And come on down. Again, feel the warmth, feel the sensations. Press down to lift up, and lift, 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 and lower. And if you're somebody who needs to lift and lower, you can just do that. Whatever works for you. You're still getting movement in your hip joint. 2 more rounds. Lift, 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 and down. 1 more. Let's open up the legs, move the seat backwards, move your torso forward, walk your feet to a place that's comfortable, not too close and definitely not too far. Big toe is in a straight line with the inside of the heel. Engage the navel center, lift through the heart, and just breathe. And for most of us, this will be enough to get a stretch in the hip joint that we just were working. But if you are somebody who wants to come further, you can press your upper arms into your thighs, press the 4 points, and push your upper arms into your thighs and your thighs into your upper arms. And we'll take 5 breaths here. And then bring one elbow onto the knee, the other elbow, the hand, and then just sit back. If you want to, you can stretch, you can begin to sway like branches on a tree, and then come back up, interlace your hands behind your head. If you have issues in your shoulder, you can keep your hands down at your sides. You can actually hold the chair or just have your hands on your side. We're going to do a little side stretching. So press your sit bones down, lift up, feel that nice elongation. Press the hands behind this into the skull and the skull into the hands. And we're going to list over to our left. Keep your sit bones pressing down. You get a nice little side stretch. Inhale up, exhale to the other side. Inhale up. Now the next time you go to the left, let's hold and breathe into our right rib cage. 3 breaths here, press down to lift up. Inhale up and exhale to the other side. Inhale up, release. Bring your hands onto your knees and go into cat and cow. Okay. So now that we've gotten the lower body open, the hips open, the shoulders open, the sides of our body open, let's turn and have the left leg dangling out to the back to the side. I'm going to move my blocks. Okay, so we're going to dangle the left leg. Adjust yourself so you can have from your hip joint down to your knee, you're just letting that go. And as you contract the navel center, you're going to feel neutral spine coming into play. Your right arm is on the back of your chair, and you're breathing here. Now, some of you may wish to straighten your leg. That's fine, whichever one you're comfortable with. You can keep your arm down at your side. You can bring it into a goalpost, or you can raise it up overhead. Keep your eyes at the tip of your nose, and let's take 3 breaths here. From here, release, bring that leg back up, turn back to center on your chair. And notice how hugely different your entire left side feels as compared to your right. Just take a moment here, feel the breath at the tip of the nose, feel the awkwardness of your sides of your body. Yoga really teaches us about awareness and how to create awareness in our body. So as we move to the other side, you want to bring that awareness into how different now this side is. Okay? So wherever you want your leg, whether you want it straight down or you want to turn your toes under and press your heel back as you engage the navel center, holding onto the back of the chair. You'll bring your arm either overhead into goalpost or just leave it hang at your side. 5 breaths. Release your arm down, bring the top leg up, come back to center. Bring your hands onto your knees and move back and forth very gently with cat and cow. 1 more. All right. So we're going to get our strap. I'm going to come standing to do this, but you may wish to do it from sitting. We're going to just raise our arms up and down. So I'm going to move my chair. And you're going to take your strap, your tie, your belt, whatever you have, and take it as wide as you need to. And I'm going to come sideways so that you can see this. You're going to bring your arms just up shoulder height and down. We'll do that just 4 times, okay? Just shoulder height and down. Now, for some of you, this might be all you're doing, but for some of us, we can raise it up as high as over our fontanelle on top of our head. So if that is you, feel free to inhale all the way up and exhale down. Another 4 times. So wherever you are is good for you. Don't go beyond what you're capable of doing or where you should be. How do I know? Okay, let's stop. If when you raise your arms, I'll turn sideways, your shoulders come up, that means you're cheating. We don't want cheating, right? Yes, your range of motion in your brain says, oh, look, I can raise my arm really up high, but can you keep the shoulder down? So put your strap down, take your right hand onto your left shoulder, and raise your left arm, keeping the shoulder down. So contract navel center, press the feet into the floor. If you're sitting, again, feel those 4 points. Keep your hand on the shoulder and only go where your shoulder lets you. You'll notice that as you raise your arm up, the shoulder wants to come up. It's really moving from the, instead of the shoulder, you can feel how the shoulder blade comes up. When you do that, you're not really getting the range of motion that we're trying to get to. So be kind and compassionate in your own body to where your body wants to go and where it should go. There's a difference, okay? My arm can come up here, my shoulder can come up, but I'm not doing my body any service, okay? So let's try this again. Drop the shoulder, pull the belly in, drop the shoulder blade. And notice where you are. It's not about getting up here. I've had to work really hard at that. We don't all come to that easily, and sometimes because of injury, we'll never get there, okay? And it is not about getting there. It is about noticing where you are. So let's try the other side, okay? And I will tell you for a fact that one side will be very different than the other. So keep the shoulder and shoulder blade down. Let's just do 3 more. So if you want to work to heal, to get more range of motion, please work with your body where your body is, not where you want it to be or where you think you are. So you really have to be honest with yourself and be aware of those facts. So let's roll the shoulders now up, back, and down, and clasp the hand behind you. Now, as you clasp, squeeze your shoulder blades together. If that's challenging for you, you can use your tie, your strap, your belt, and just bring your hands on the belt and squeeze your shoulder blades. Even if it's out here, it's not about how far or how close you are. It's about what's going on in the shoulder joint to get open, okay? And if you are interested, take your chin parallel, bend your knees, and hinge forward. And then release as you're ready. Wonderful. Okay. We're going to come into tree posture. So those of you who need the back of your chair or your wall, feel free to move yourself into that place. We'll start by standing on our right leg. So contract the navel center. Feel that marionette string lifting you all the way up. Bend your left knee. So you're nice and tall and you get this length in the side of your ribs. Bring your heel right over your ankle and bring your hands down below at your navel center. Let's take 5 breaths here. Feel the breath at the base of your nostrils. If you're on the wall, remember you're not bringing your hands into prayer position. Your hand is at the wall, shoulder height. So your arm is not up here because now I'm going to be congested between my ear and my shoulder. You're keeping that shoulder and shoulder blade down. Okay? And when you're done, let's just come to the other side. And we'll take 5 breaths here. And the reason I just sort of fell out of the posture is I began to pay attention to where my foot was, and I noticed that my heel was turned in, so I was turning it out and repositioning. Come on down, shake out your legs. Okay, take your feet a little wider apart, and let's make circles here. And notice that you're still doing cat and cow. Just feels a little different now because you're trying to move more into the hip joints. And you're bending your knees as you need. And then go the other direction. And then let's shake that out. Let's, again, you can use the wall if you need to. Roll onto your toes. So you're rolling onto the tops of your feet. From, I guess we're going, we're probably wearing more sandals right now, but we're still stuck in shoes, and maybe you wear shoes a lot because of plantar fasciitis or ankle issues. And let's come down and go to the other side. Make sure your knee's not turning out. You're keeping your knees straight. You're just rolling onto the tops of your feet, getting a stretch here. And then do that. We're going to do that 2 more times on each side. So hopefully if you're on tile or you're on a hard surface, you may want to fold your mat. You might want to put a blanket underneath your feet so that it's softer. Okay. 1 more time on each side. Okay. Now, we're going to use the hand motion and we're going to use the feet motion. Some of you will only use your arms, and some of you will use your arms as well as your feet. So what we're going to do here is I just want everybody to lift and lower. Lift and lower. So I'm lifting my heels off and coming onto the balls of my feet. If you have poor balance, again, you can be using the wall or the back of the chair, but for you, you might not lift your heels. You might just go forward and back, feeling the weight shift coming onto the balls of the feet and to the heel, going back and forth between these two places, okay? So wherever you are, fine with where your legs are, and then we're going to lift our arms. Remember, only go where you can go to keep your shoulders and shoulder blades down. Let's do 4 more. Last one here. 1 more. All right. You can feel, for those of you who were able to lift, you can feel that in your calf muscles, and that's what we want. Take your feet a little wider apart and lift your opposite heel, keeping your arms down at your sides. A nice, gentle little twist here. And before we moving to the floor, you can, we're going to do a downward dog. So if you want to use the chair or the wall or the mat, whatever you want, you're going to come to the wall, walk your feet back or to your chair, walk your hands back, stick your butt up, pull the belly in, and get a nice long spine. Okay? And let's hold for 3 breaths. I'm going to bring my chair back into play here. And then I'm going to use the chair for my downward dog. Now push your feet, your heels apart as you pull the belly in. And when you're ready, take your hands to your thighs into a forward bend. And from the forward bend, bend your knees and we'll come all the way down to the floor. And let's just sit against the wall or on your blanket. Have your strap with you. Okay. So I'm going to turn sideways. I'm going to move my chair back out of the way. Actually, I'll leave my chair there. I'm just going to stick my back to the back of the chair. Okay. So now we're going to use the strap to get a little bit more leg work in. So we're going to straighten our legs for Dandasana. If you're somebody who has a lot of tightness in the hamstrings, you can put a blanket or a pillow underneath you. Okay. We're going to bring the left leg up and interlace your hands around your knee. Press your sit bones and lift nice and tall. I want you to notice as you're sitting here, do you feel your left sit bone lifting up, leaning to your right? If so, draw downward onto the left, anchor yourself, and notice where you begin to sense different movements or different sensations in the body, where you feel tightness, where you feel more open. Once you have that, we're going to open up this left leg. And some of you will put something underneath your knee, right? You have a block. Remember, it has 3 levels, or you have blankets, or you have pillows. Support yourself. You can put something under your right knee. And we're going to take the strap. It's a pose that we don't do too often with this class. But we're going to take the strap and place it right under the toes. And you're going to extend through the heel. And at the same time, remember that thought process of pressing down to lift up, the yin and the yang. As you press down, notice how the spine lengthens. If this is challenging for you, if you have a wall or you can go to the back of your bed, you know, if you have like a platform bed or a sofa, wherever you are, a chair, you can sit against that. That will also help. One hand on each strap, thumb on the top, press down to lift up. This might be all that you do. If you're very tight in the hip, you move your foot down towards your shin or towards your knee. Don't go too far. That won't work too well, okay? This is very good to open up the hip. It helps relieve back issues depending on what they are. As you press down, you might want to hinge forward. And you might not go anywhere. Because if my knee is really way up high, I can't go anywhere. So don't try. Remember, we move from the hip. We'll take a couple more breaths here. And when you're done, we'll come back up, release, bring that knee up, walk the foot out, and gently help it move downward. And let's go to the other side. So we'll take that right leg out, put whatever you need underneath your right knee, the right thigh. Take the strap onto your left foot, one hand on each strap, lift up, and hinge forward. And then inhale up. Exhale, release, straighten both legs. Again, very important to listen to yourself. Either bend your knees if your hamstrings are really tight, because that will release the back, or put something underneath your knees. And then we're going to point and press. And I slammed my middle toe. And when I point, I can feel that little strain, I guess, on my big toe. What do you feel in your body today? And point and press. Now, question for you. Stop pointing and pressing and just rest in this posture. You might have your hands here. You might have to really lift up. You might go really uncomfortable. And if this is uncomfortable for you, lay on your back and you can point and press from your back. You don't have to be sitting up to do this. Right? But if you are sitting up, and even if you're laying down, I should say, and you contract the navel center, when you're sitting, you're going to feel the sit bones anchoring you, lifting your torso. If you're laying down, you're going to feel the tailbone drawing downward. Now, as you inhale, point your toes. And if you're sitting up, notice if your big toe is in line with the heel, or your toes are turned in or out, okay? And then as you exhale, and the navel center is being pulled through the spine, press through the heels. And point and press here. So you should feel again that yin and the yang and the backs of the legs working. And then make rotations. In one direction and then in the other direction. And then rock your legs out and in, out and in, out and in. Right. Let's take the feet. I'm going to remove my cushion. Bring your hands behind you and take your feet as wide as the mat. Your hands can be wherever you're comfortable. If you're comfortable this way, that's fine. I am not, because you can see how I begin to round. My hyperextended arms don't like that way. So I work this way. I put my feet as wide as the mat, my big toe in a straight line with the heel. And then I'm going to drop my knees from side to side. And your torso comes with you. Now, if you have knee issues, you might find that this is too much. If this is too much, stay right here. You can put a bolster underneath you and just open up your knees. You'll feel happier. But we're going to go into a little twist here. So I'm going to bring a block with me to show you this. So as you drop your knees to one side, do your hands reach the floor? If you have a lot of tightness or you have short extremities, you might find you need a block underneath your one hand or both arms. So, do what your body needs you to do. We're going to pull the belly in, and you're going to feel how your the outside ribs rotate inward to the side you're twisting. And we'll take 4 breaths here. When you're ready to come up, slowly take your outer hand back up behind you, adjust yourself, and drop your knees to the other side. So now you can see my back, and you can see how my shoulders are squared, they're stacked, one on top, one to the other. And now I'm moving my outer ribs to the inner ribs. And then inhale back to center. Let's take your bolsters. Let's put them underneath our thighs. I'm going to recline here. I'm going to take my head onto the floor. I think I need to move that chair out of the way. And we're now in Konasana. So if you might choose to have something under your head or not, depends on your comfort level. You can choose to have your arms on your belly, out at your sides, in goal post, or I know some of you like to have your arms overhead. So wherever you have your body parts, it doesn't matter, contract for a moment the navel center. Feel how the tailbone moves like into a dog tilt. When you exhale, you can feel how it moves into a cat tilt. Now, don't do either. Do it a few times and then stop doing it and just let the lower back release where it wants to go. And notice the opening that you're now getting in the inner thighs as they move to the outer thighs. So all that work we did in the beginning of class with the hip joints. So wherever you have your body, just rest and be and let go. One more breath here. If you have your arms overhead, begin to move them down. Begin to straighten your legs. So now you have your arms down. You can point and press, and then you can also contract the navel center and get nice and long. And then we're going to put the feet on the floor. Some of you will take the bolster out. Some of you will use the bolster or block or nothing. We're going to bring it underneath us. So you can use your block as you normally would. You can use your bolsters, your pillows, or you don't have to use anything. So right now we're in a restorative bridge posture. We'll come back to that posture in a moment. Please lift your left leg and wrap your hands around your thigh. Straighten the right leg. And breathe here. So we just opened up the hip joint, which allows that psoas muscle, the longest muscle in the body, the base of that muscle is at the inner thigh. Now begin to let go here. And just see if you can move around to let things release a little bit more. If your right knee bothers you, you can put something underneath the knee. Build it up so that the knee has support. Take maybe 4 more breaths here. Long, deep, even breaths. And then begin to bring up the right leg, lower the left leg. Take a moment just to notice if there's any subtle differences and where. And then when you have that information, come to the other side. Another 4 breaths. Well, this time when you are finished, bring both knees into the chest. Release your hands. You can have them on your belly and lift your legs way up to the sky. Inhale, point your toes, and exhale, press through the heels. Watch what happens when you don't engage, and watch what happens when you do engage the navel center to the spine and the tailbone lengthens. Notice what happens in the backs of your legs. And then when you're done, make rotations in both directions. And then when you're done with those rotations, take your legs wide. Some of you might have to hold your legs, and we're going to point and press. Same thing that we did earlier. Make rotations, both directions. Bring your legs back together when you're done. Lower the feet to the floor and bring your arms out to your sides, onto your belly, or overhead or into goal post for restorative bridge posture. We'll just take maybe 10 breaths here. Slow, deep, even breaths. It's a wonderful position just to release everything. Again, if you don't want to be on anything here, you can just be in constructive rest pose. Nothing underneath your buttocks, and you're letting go of your tailbone. Everybody has a different count to their breath. So when I say 10 breaths, it's 10 breaths for you. My breaths might be longer. When you're ready, release your arms slowly. If you have something underneath you, remove it. Place it again underneath your thighs. Straighten your legs, straighten your arms, and you're in final position for Shavasana. If there's anything else that you want to do, if you want to bring your knees into your chest and drop them over to one side, feel free to do that. Maybe take, on each side 6 breaths or so. But if you're ready for Shavasana, just come into relaxation posture. Right into Shavasana. You might now have something underneath your head. You might put your wash rag or your eye pillow on. You might have something to cover yourself so you don't get cool, especially if you're under a fan. Notice all the places that you have worked today. The tops of the shoulders, the shoulder blades, the arms, the sides of the body, the front and the back of the body, the hips, the legs, the ankles. Now draw your attention from the soles of your feet back to the ankles, through the legs, to the hip joints. From the hip joints to the navel center, up through the heart center, the throat, and to the center or top of the center of the forehead, and back up to the top of the head. Rest the back of the skull into the earth. Allow the eyes to soften into their sockets. Feel the muscles of the face soften as you let go of all the tension and all the holding. Lick your lips, create a gentle smile, and lower the bottom jaw. We're going to use our tongue and make circles around the gum line of both the upper and lower teeth and onto the cheek muscle itself. So move your tongue around and onto your cheek and down to your gum and over to the other side. And go back the other direction. And then release the tongue and notice where the tongue wants to rest. And see if you can release the tongue where it attaches at the root in your mouth. Notice how the bottom jaw releases even more. Muscles of the neck down to the tops of the shoulders and out to the shoulder joint release. Down the upper arms to the elbow joint. Elbow joint to wrist joint. And wrist joint out to the fingers and fingertips. Resting now the back of the hand. Breathe in and breathe out. And breathe from the back of the hand through the backs of the wrist to the elbows and back up to the shoulder joints. Exhale here at the shoulder joints. And from the shoulder joint over to the throat center. And take a swallow. And notice how the front of the throat releases to the back of the neck. And down to the heart center, to the base of the breastbone. A few breaths here, the breastbone. And down to the navel center where you watch the belly rise and watch the belly fall. No strong contraction, just the rate and rhythm of your own personal breath. The diaphragm is moving up and down, bringing energy and vitality inward to your body, refreshing you. And the exhale allows you to let go. Then draw your attention 2 inches below the navel center between the 2 hip joints. And then out to your hip joints. Breathe into the inner thighs and let the inner thighs release to the outer thighs. And the backs of the heels rotate in with the toes rotating out. Noticing all the places in your body that release. Notice all the places in your body where the laws of nature are in effect. So the heels rotate in, the toes rotate out. Now travel up from the toes and the ankles to the backs of the knees. And notice that there's a slight bend in there so that the inner thighs release to the outer thighs. And as that occurs, you'll notice that the inner thighs release to the outer thighs, and you can sense the hip joints pulling inward, which is what releases them outward. And travel back to the space between those two hip joints and up to the navel center. Noticing how the belly expands and rises on the inhalation. And then the opposite, as you exhale, the belly pulls in and retreats to the earth. So it rises to the heavens on the inhalation and retreats inward to the earth on the exhalation. It's very comforting. And as you draw the energy back up to the heart center, the breastbone, we notice that the heart is always open. But if we're too open, we miss the most important aspect of also the heart retreating inward to the back of the spine, to find balance. The laws of opposites help us to find balance between the front of the body and the back of the body, between living within ourselves and around others. Draw your awareness now from the heart center to the throat, and allow the balance here to just soften the muscles of the throat. And travel up to the center of the mind. No more movement. Now we just stay at the center of our mind. So begin to sense the cool air at the base of the nostrils. Notice that the air comes in on the outer edges of those nostrils and travels up to the center of the mind as the belly expands. And as you exhale, you feel the warmth at the base of the nostrils, you feel the belly falling, but you're still spending your focus at the center of the mind. So the rise and the fall of the belly happens, the cool air and the warmth happens, and your mind and your awareness is at the center of the mind, the manos. And all that you're doing now is watching, being a witness to the body breathing. You are a mere witness as your body breathes. And bring your awareness from the center of the mind down to the navel center, and begin to breathe a little deeper here. Watch the belly expand more and contract a little bit more. And bring your awareness as you do this to the outer edges of your body, getting a sense of moving from the subtle energy deep inside of you to the gross energy on the outside body. And rock your head from side to side. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Stretch your body any way you choose. Eventually roll over to your side and come back to sitting. Bring your hands to your heart or to prayer position. Bow your head gently, giving thanks to your mind, to your body, to the breath, and the practice. Namaste.